did you realize life is not all sunshine and rainbows? I met my best friend Greg in school when we were 10 years old. His mother was a transient and his father was never part of the picture. He lived with his grandmother when I first met him, but he was handed off to different relatives frequently. To this day, I've never met a more gifted individual. Though I lacked cognizance as a child, in hindsight I consider him a genius. My complete lack of comprehension pushed me to compete with him academically. While perpetually in his dust, I still pursued goals I was incapable of reaching. In that respect, he truly made me a better person. A year later, I entered my first middle school relationship with Emily. She was my first kiss and we even lasted 9 months, an eternity by middle school standards. After breaking up, Emily and I maintained a close friendship. We hung out on the weekends and called each other daily, mostly listening and talking about music and school drama. By the time the three of us entered high school, we became a tight 4-person group that included Greg's cousin. Now that we were older and licensed to drive, we skipped afternoon classes most days and hung out every day of the week. Greg's cousin got a job at a struggling local grocery store, so the three of us decided to apply and we all got in. As freshmen, Greg confided in me that he fell in love with Emily. He spent every dollar he made on showering her with gifts, which she happily accepted. Emily came from a broken home with an alcoholic and physically mistreating mother. The allure of a constant stream of presents must have been too strong for her to shut it down despite her lack of romantic interest. After perhaps a year of this dynamic, Greg's cousin also fell for Emily. He asked her out and she accepted. Though he never spoke of how this made him feel, I know it devastated him. To add context, we were now 16. Greg's transient mother came and went, this time leaving his older unemployed brother behind. Greg now had to work 40-hour weeks to pay rent and support his brother, while attending high school. Before I continue, you should know a few things about Greg. He was a gentle giant, naturally big and muscular, yet I had never witnessed even a hint of violence. We were so tight we usually knew what the other was thinking, even without any communication. He maintained straight A's in his advanced courses throughout his difficult child and teenage years, without even a momentary dip in performance. The time frame is a bit fuzzy here, but I believe Greg's cousin had been dating Emily for about a week or two. Emily asked to stay with Greg in his motel room so she could avoid her mother for the night. Unfortunately, he obliged. Greg, Emily, and I were scheduled to work early the next morning. I remember being annoyed they had skipped their shifts without even giving me a heads up. The day manager, Justin, was acting very strange during my shift. He asked me to stop by his apartment afterward. I was now convinced something was very wrong. Justin relayed what the local police had told him. At some point during the night, Greg woke up and took Emily's life with no remorse. He did this using a hammer. He then forced himself onto the body, then walked to a cemetery and called 911. The sentencing was a spectacle for our small town. His public defenders did nothing of the sort and he was sentenced to life without parole. Also, the local police pulled a Brendan Dassey on me. They wrote their own statement and made me, a 16-year-old with no representation, sign it. They even accidentally exposed me to graphic crime scene photos, which left me further traumatized. Greg took his own life roughly a year after his conviction. I lost my 2 closest friends and haven't been able to form personal relationships in almost 2 decades since the incident.